Well, if it isn't the shining star who set so many hearts aflame with their high-flying feats of the Moonfire Fair, thanks in no small part to your contributions, we were able to close the curtain on this year's festivities in style. Though the revelry and rejoice may have ended, needless to say there's still plenty of work to be left done. Speaking of which, would you be averse to lending a Fatigue Festival attendant a lending hand? While we were favored with spectacular crowds again this year, I fear that comes with an unfortunate after effect, which is to say this beautiful beach remains cluttered with an unsightly amount of rubbish and refuse, much more so than I could ever hope to gather up on my own. While I realize this is a rather trivial task to impose upon an adventurer of your stature, would you be so kind as to help me tidy up a bit? It would really mean everything to me. Should you find any discarded items, simply return them here to me. I will sort through them and see that they are disposed of in proper fashion. Yep, same. Welcome back. I can already see that the beach is looking cleaner for your efforts. I would be happy to take any of the discarded items you picked up off your hands. Hand those over. Thank you, friend. We truly appreciate your efforts. After all, it just wouldn't do to launch the celebratory fireworks over a beach littered with jetsam and junk. Well now, what have we here? This appears to be an ordinary bottle, but is this a letter inside? How curious. Why, I do believe I'll take a closer look. Ne'er to land, heaven spew crimson, deep black dooms, stray seeds, valiant. It's no use, the ink is smudged in so many places. Deciphering the letter in full is all but impossible. That said, all this talk of heaven spewing chrisms and seeping black dooms, it isn't very pleasant, is it? Wait, I just had a thought. What if this is a message, a warning of sorts, intended to help us forestall an impending calamity? Perhaps I'm overthinking this, but better safe than sorry, wouldn't you say?
Okay.
Why, I've half a mind to take off immediately to investigate further myself. Sadly, I still have another half of a beach here to clean. Please, might you be so kind as to look into the letter on my behalf? My friend Bran in Limsa Lominsa, he's a veteran reporter for the venerable Harbor Herald, just happens to be an expert on cryptic poems and prophecy. I'm sure he'd be able to tell you something about it. I'm terribly sorry to burden you with yet another menial task like this, but the fate of the realm may very well be at stake, and wherever this leads, I promise to compensate you properly for your labors. Safe travels, friend. Something I can do for you, stranger. If you've business with Bran, best state it quickly. This Gaz has leads to follow and incidents to investigate. Fabio's wondering about this letter, you say? Well, you couldn't have come at a better place. Hand it over, my good woman, and let Bran see what he can't glean for you. Did Bran know it or did Bran know it? There's no mistaking these chocobo scratches. This is the quillmanship of none other than that roving minstrel of no small repute. As for the content of the letter, while it's none other than a particularly portentous passage from the 7th verse of the Divine Chronicles, as writ by Messiah Thousand Eyes so many years ago. If you'd care to hear it, old Bran be happy to perform a dramatic reading of the full words. Ne'er till land consumes, sun conceive bare moons, heaven spew crimson flame, hell seek black dooms. Stray seeds quicken in ashes gray embrace, valiant blades forged under the 12's good grace. Pretty ominous to say the least, no. But I wouldn't be worrying over much. Scholars pose it this way as a prophecy foretelling the 7th umbral calamity, which as we all know has come and long since gone, and thank the 12 for that. As for why our minstrel friend saw fit to scribble this down, bottle it, and toss it into the sea, well, why don't we saunter on over to Ul'dah and ask the good man himself? After all, what with it being the Rising and all, it's as good as any occasion as any to reflect upon the rebirth of our realm. Well met, my friends. Might I interest you in a song? Oh, an interview with the Harvard Herald, you say? You do this humble minstrel a great honor. I would be happy to oblige, but be forewarned. There may be matters which I am not at liberty to divulge. But of course, anything and everything you'd be willing to tell me and my colleague here, Old Bran, would be nothing but appreciative. Well, my friends, I must say, this brings me back a ways. I did indeed subscribe this letter many, many years ago, before the calamity described therein came to pass. With disaster looming nigh, I sojourned in a small farming village just a stone's throw from Bloodshore, near what is now Costa del Sol, though none call it by that name in those times. I spent night and day penning countless letters identical to this one. I placed each one in a bottle and cast them into the sea, in hopes of warning Eorzeans far and wide about the realm's impending doom. Many of my adventurer acquaintances assisted me in this task. To think that one of those letters would find its way to you after so many years? Yes, fate works in mysterious ways. Why yes, I do believe that my muse stirs within me, if you might indulge me for a moment. What the hell? Oh, that's so trippy. Greetings, warrior of light. You needn't be alarmed. This is a world that exists outside of your reality. Could it be a dream, a flight of fancy conjured by your weary mind? Perhaps, or perhaps not. It's a pleasure to welcome you here again, old friend, or shall I call you the Warrior of Darkness? In any event, it's been quite the adventure we've shared, you and I. Yoshida. Oh, how the years have flown by since I crossed the rift to this world. I trust that your adventures here yet stir your heart and nourish your soul. We are still here just as ever, scribing the events that will go down in the history of this vast realm. A job, of course, that we could not do were it not for your extraordinary exploits. One might even say that just as you have embarked on your adventures, we have also been on adventures of our own. Each adventure brings meetings and partings and countless trials that must be overcome. The task is never an easy one, but at journey's end we emerge stronger, more enlightened, and closer to the individuals we want to be. For this reason and many more, this world we share with you, is near and dear to our hearts as nothing else could be. And so I shall remain here singing of your great deeds, those that have come to pass and those that are yet a dream, and together we will tell a tale that will live on long after we are gone. Oh, this is great. Now, the time has come for this vision to end, time for your eyes to open from this waking dream. In truth, there are others who have messages they wish to share with you, but do not worry, we shall find a way. Ever will we be watching over you. Guide the realm unto peace and happiness, hero of Eorzea. Till next we meet. I'm gonna start crying. Oh my god. What a song. Why, that has to be the most mellifluous move in composition that I've ever heard. You've outdone yourself this time, my minstrelin friend. Why, I'd best get back to the Herald and put pen to parchment before I go forgetting the words. Be seeing you, friend, and tell Pabiano the greatest Gaz in Limsa sends his regards. That dude was weird. The calamity took much from us, but Eorzea rose from the rubble and ashes to stand as strong today as ever she has. And to you, whose courage and devotion will see our realm to an even brighter tomorrow, I dedicated this song. O hero of rebirth traversing, heal you this scarred land. Lay bare cloistered truth and tame the skies. Let Azure guide your hand. O hero of rebirth traversing, break you the tyrant's bonds. Embrace your sin and chase the light. To darkness a world will dawn. Oh, there go the fireworks. When the calamity razed this land, the Eorzea we once knew was lost to us forever, and yet the realm as it once was lives on this day in the hearts of those who call it home. Though it is in this season of remembrance, my thoughts turn to those who are with us no more, and to the world that they left behind, for it is truly knowing and understanding our past that allows us to stride confidently toward our future. Oh, there you are. I was wondering when you'd be back. Was Bran able to help you puzzle out the meaning of that ominous missive? A year-old message to warn the people of the 7th Umbral Calamity? You say? Phew, and here I was worried we were facing our impending doom all over again. At any rate, I owe you something for going above and beyond the call of duty for me today. This might not be much, but please take it with the most sincere gratitude. Speaking of which, it's the strangest thing. Ever since you left, we've had more and more of those bottles come floating in with the tide. I'm pleased to say that this time the words are not ominous in the least, and judging from the penmanship, it would seem that they come from a variety of senders. Yes, messages and bottles seem to be all the rage these days, which would be all well and good if I weren't stuck with the task of keeping these sands shiny and spotless. Which gives me an idea. If you're curious about the contents of the letters, perhaps you'd be willing to help me pick a few of them up. I'll even throw in a token provided by the festival authorities for each bottle you bring to me. What are the tokens good for, you ask? Why, they can be exchanged for a veritable bounty of simply delightful seasonal goods with the rising vendor. Take my word for it, it'd be more than worth your while. After all you've already done, you're still willing to lend poor Pabiano a helping hand. You truly are a saint, or perhaps you're just curious to find out what all these letters say. I couldn't blame you for that, I am too. Anyhow, what with all of them washing in these days, I don't suppose they'll be too hard to find. Bring back to me what you found, ow. And I'll open them right up. My nails are quite suited for the task, mind you, so you can read the message at your leisure. What were the rewards?
Nothing really worth it, honestly. Wall mounts. That's it. And fireworks. So, I mean, we're pretty much done with it, yeah, now.
Is that a message in a bottle I see in your hands, or are you just happy to see me? Wow. Splendid. For doing your part to clean the beach, I'm more than happy to furnish you with this spiffy, shiny, absolutely official Rising token. You'll want to hold on to it and acquire even more if you can, so that you can exchange them for any of the wide array of exclusive festival goods and accessories available from our vendor. Let's see what the vendor has. Oh, I just skipped all of that. My bad. I can still remember the day you came swooping into Ishgard on the back of that dragon. I recall that it took even Sir Amaric a moment to realize you were friend and not foe. I must admit I was one of those archers prepared to fire upon your draconian steed. It's a good thing I was wearing my helmet, so I have no doubt my fate was beet red with embarrassment when we saw it was you. Having said that, I'm sure I would have been lost among the crowd, as there were a fair few of us to mark your return. Unfortunately, being one of the rank and file makes it rather difficult to directly express my gratitude for your brave deeds, which is why I chose to pen this letter. Even though I must rely on the tides of fate to carry these words to you, though as you have proven miracles can and often do happen, ever your comrade, a devoted temple knight. Oh, the little minion turned to watch as well. Aww. Nothing warms my heart quite so much as when I see adventurers about town walking around wearing the clothes and fashions that I designed. At times, there are colors and outfit combinations that are beyond anything I'd ever imagined. This in turn inspires me to not rest on my laurels, but rather to strive to create yet newer and more eclectic fashions. So to you, who I may never meet and whose name I may never know, I have only to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing the clothes of my creation to walk with you. Yours sincerely, a humble fashion designer. I still remember the day, fresh off the boat after a long voyage across the Ruby Sea. I strode into the gleaming gold saucer. I found an open space in one of the parlors, set up my table and began to stack my tiles atop it. Anxiety gripped me to the depths of my body and soul. What if Eorzeans had no interest in the dome and diversion I sought to provide? Would my long journey prove to be for naught? Fortunately, my worries soon melted away. Within hours, the Manderville tables were teeming with visitors, locals and travelers from far abroad alike, each more eager than the next to try their hand at the time-honored game of Mahjong. I am no mighty adventurer, and there is only so much I can do for this realm, and so I hope that in some small way the game I teach can serve to lighten adventurous days, and relieve them from the many burdens they bear, until we meet at the tables, an anonymous Mahjong tutor. Okay, so that's all of the letters, and then you have the vendor, which sells the paintings, and I want to say that these paintings are all from the last Rising events. I could be wrong though, but I'm pretty sure they are. Then if you read all of the letters, you should have just enough to buy all of the paintings. So that's 3 times of doing the quest. And then the rest of them are little, like firework prism things, which I don't really bother with buying. But that is it for the Rising event, which wasn't very big. It never is, but it's really cool to experience, and it's a huge thank you letter event for the people who do play, so it's pretty special in my opinion.